Very good. Okay, bye.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye. Okay, so we'll see what we can do. So this is the back of the Capitol. The dome you can just about see here. Well, you know, I'm not only Albanian on my father's side, I'm a Roman Catholic. And obviously I heard about Mother Teresa many years before I became a congressman. She was already very famous. In fact, I remember as a congressman, President Reagan inviting her to Washington, and she was at a prayer breakfast at that time, and then she returned to a prayer breakfast when I was there in the early 90s. Her love for the poor and what she did in India. Don't forget, when she died, she was given a state funeral in India where she started her missionary work in 1949. She took the poorest of the poor, the people who were dying on the streets, who had leprosy that no one would touch, and she would take them in her arms, and she would bring them into the home of the nuns, wash them, clean them, put clothes on them. She knew they were going to die, but she gave them dignity, and she said, I brought a smile to their face as they were dying. This is the Mother Teresa that loved everybody, everything, and as she said, love until it hurts. And that was her kind of philosophy. You might say that I have a special place in my heart for Mother Teresa, as all Albanians do. And I am particularly proud this year because I am now the chairman of the dinner for the Mother Teresa Cathedral that we're building in Pristina. Don't forget, I was working with Bishop Sopi when Bishop Sopi and Ibrahim Rugova made sure they got the right property for this, but unfortunately they are both now not with us anymore. And we have now Bishop DioGuardi, who is a young, very spirited Albanian bishop who has really made this his top priority. And we brought him here last November, and we brought him to the cathedral to meet Cardinal Egan, but we also brought him to Our Lady of Scotia, where we formed a committee to raise money to make sure this cathedral, Catholic Church, cathedral, Albanian Cultural Center, library, and museum is going to be built fast and completely. Why is this important? Because it's going to be a symbol for the Albanians throughout the world that Mother Teresa is an Albanian. Many people today said, oh, she's Yugoslavian, or she's from Macedonia, or she's Indian. A lot of people, Albanians know she's Albanian, but many Americans don't know she is an ethnic Albanian, born in Albanian lands before, Macedonia was created. And now people say she's born in Shkup, but we know that that was part of Albania at the time. So to have this cathedral in the name of Mother Teresa is going to be the best thing, I think, for the Albanian national cause. And to have it in Pristina, everybody says, because the Serbs and the Greeks are always saying, oh, all these Albanians in Kosovo are Muslim, because they're trying to make them look bad politically. But here now we have, right on the best piece of property in the middle of Pristina, the capital, this wonderful cathedral bearing the name of Mother Teresa as a symbol of the tolerance of the Albanian people who share four religions: the Islamic faith, the Catholic faith, the Orthodox faith, and yes, even the Jewish faith. 10 years ago, very few would know that she was Albanian. Today, more know, but I'll bet you the majority still does not know she's an Albanian because they heard so much about her state funeral in India, where she's buried, because that's where she did her charitable work and catered, as I said, to the poorest of the poor. And then they know because the Macedonians and the Serbs have always said she was Yugoslavian. And they had Belgrade, which had all of the press. And Macedonians and the Greeks have always claimed, she's from Yugoslavia, because they didn't want, I guess, let the Albanian people feel they were that important, that they had one of the most important living saints maybe in history with them. But now it's out. And when this cathedral is built, everybody will know that Mother Teresa was an Albanian and is still in every Albanian heart. And she's going to be the best thing for the image, for the good public image, a good face for the Albanian people because of the love that she stood for. You could see the reception she got when she came to the White House to meet President Reagan. You could see the reception she got when she was on the dais at the prayer breakfast with the Clintons one time. And here she's talking about the fact that we have to protect everyone, even the babies in the womb, that abortion is a moral evil. And here she's sitting in between Mr. and Mrs. Clinton, who was actually for, they were not pro-life the way Mother Teresa was. But she still gave that speech to show the world that politics was not important as what you believe in, and God's more important than even Washington. That was the point she wanted to make. But she was received like a head of state by President Reagan and by everyone else. And when she was at that prayer breakfast, every congressman wanted to go and say hello to her or try to take a picture. And obviously, she was not much for publicity. In fact, I remember asking her when I went to see her in 1992 for the first time that I said, well, how do you raise money? Because I'd like to raise money. She says, we don't ask people for money. We do good work, and if they like what we do, we accept the money. I says, well, I want to do something. Can I offer? It's up to you. And at that point, I had a $50 bill, and I gave it to Sister Antrim. She would not take it. I said, well, this is my pleasure then to offer this because you've done so many good things, and if I could do more, I will try. She never asked me to do more, but that's why I'm so happy now to be the chairman of this dinner and on the executive committee for this cathedral, because I feel now I'm doing for her and for the church and for the Albanian people what I wanted to do years ago when I asked her that question. And this is Mother Teresa's Anyway poem. And I'll take my glasses out now that I'm 67. I don't want to miss any words here. She said, people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway, she said. If you find serenity and happiness, people may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. And finally, she says, give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough, but give the world the best you have anyway. Now, I think this is beautiful because it shows you the positive spirit she had, that under the worst conditions, when she was in India, she had a smile on her face. Why? Because she believed in something more than the material things of the earth.